Okay, bueno, so we've gone through some of the Dominican tobaccos, we've covered some of the ASPs, we talked a little bit about that sweet jalapa tobacco. Over here we have what's called Condega tobacco. A Condega tobacco is in between Esteli and jalapa, so it's not as strong. What Esteli tobacco is known for is its strength. Jalapa is known for the sweetness. Condega is a great tobacco as well. We don't use so much of it in Tristan in our blends. We do inventory it, we use it from time to time, but it's not a core tobacco for us, but it is very much a core tobacco for most of the factories in Nicaragua, and it's damn good. We have that as part of the blend session for you guys, so if you haven't used that before, you may want to fuck with it. Another one we got for you guys, I don't know if you guys, have you guys worked with Untitled? Pan out to the crew for a second. Pan out for you. We're doing this Cigar Safari Interstate blending session. We got the Port Roll Commission here with us. Have you guys done that? The Untitled tobacco?
Yeah.
Okay, where are we at? Yeah. Untitled tobacco is a special tobacco because historically here in Nicaragua, you got three regions for blending tobacco. You got Esteli for strength, you got Jalapa for sweetness, you got Condega for that right down the middle, neutral, beautiful filler. But Nestor Plasencia, he did something very special a couple of years ago. He started growing tobacco in a small island called Ometepe. So Ometepe tobacco is over here. You can see these are some very small leaves, but it's not always small like that. And Ometepe tobacco, it's a small island. It sits by itself. It's on the border between Costa Rica and Nicaragua. You can't drive into it, or you got to take one of those little boats to get over there. But that tobacco, if you guys haven't worked with it, this crew has been out here for 5 years or 6 years already, coming every year. So they've worked with a lot of our different tobaccos. If you haven't worked with the Ometepe, it's definitely something for exploration, because that's what this is about. Okay, keeping over here, you got the Viso, you got the Brazil tobacco. So when you think of Brazil tobacco, you got to think of Matafina, Arapiraca, Mato Sol, Mato Norte, and those are different tobaccos from Brazil. Here at Drew Estate, we sold off all about Arapiraca. We only use Matafina. That's our real core tobacco. We use that on the Java, and we have that also on one of the newer brands that came out at the Matafina. You guys know which one it is? So, we got Matafina from Brazil. That's a choice, expensive wrapper. It's a beautiful, heavy leaf. When I say heavy leaf, heavy in terms of like when you think of a broadleaf, when you think of a T52, you think of a Mexican San Andreas, Brazilian Matafina is heavy like that. So you got that. Over here, we got more jalapa. When you see C98, you guys know what it means? Criollo 98. Typically, if you see C99, that's going to be a Corojo 99. Why it says 98 is because it's a seed variety. 98 was a very special year, so that seed variety has proved to be really good against strains, viruses, different molds, plagues, black shank, blue mold, all that bullshit. Criollo 1998 is the bomb for high efficiencies. Farmers love it, manufacturers love it. It's a great tobacco because it hits all of the main points. Great yield, provided it prevents most of the plagues and problems with tobacco, and it has that big, beautiful taste. So Criollo 98 is a beautiful tobacco. We happen to, we use both Criollo 98, Corojo 99. They're both exceptional. Over here, now back to the Ometepe. You can see this leaf is getting a little bit bigger right here. Across here, you got Viso. So you got a Seco Ometepe, you got a Viso Ometepe, and I believe down the way we're going to have a Ligero también. Right here, we got some Viso from Condega, which I already explained. Here, ASP tobacco. You guys are going to use the ASP tobacco. That's the heaviest, biggest, boldest body tobacco that you're going to find anywhere in the world. Why is it like that? It's because ASP, Andy and Sylvia Perez, that's a very strong family company. They're the biggest grower in Ecuador, them and the Oliva family, but they're really known for their Nicaraguan tobacco because the ASP growing family has its own genes for tobacco variety, which they created years and years ago, and so many people have tried to get a tobacco that's strong, and they can't get the flavor. Other people get the flavor, they can't get the strength. The beautiful thing about ASP is that only manufacturers who currently have ASP can get it. No new manufacturers are getting ASP tobacco because any extra leaf that's there, Drew and Nick Perdomo and Oliva and all of the Plasencia, everybody will try and get any extra leaf production. Other companies outside of the Dominican Republic, I'm sure, is getting it too. So you got the ASP and El Ligero, Aviso, and the Seco. This one here, the JM, that's for our homeboy Juan Martinez here. He grows that just for us. That's a staple at Drew Estate, all that typical, every factory, no matter which factory it is, it's got a certain taste that runs through their blends. Okay? Now, maybe a little harder to distinguish with an acid or a tobacco special or ambrosia. So whether it's our non-traditional or whether it's our infused tobaccos, it's a little harder to find some of the characters that run through. But when you think about Liga Privada, you think about Underground, and you think about Nica Rustica. In my mind, that's in a lot of ways how I look at Nica Rustica, Underground, and Liga Privada. Because a lot of those blends share characteristics from the same plants, even from the same vintage and same crops. But it's the finesse of what makes tobacco special. The commodity side of it is there, it's clear. It's commodity, it's tobacco, it's bought and sold, the market goes up and down based on supply and demand. But the finesse is what makes it artesian. So, with the ASP, people who have that, people who are able to get it, like Drew Estate, luckily, we allow our guests who come down for Cigar Safari to be able to blend with the materials. So we got that for these guys. We have more Jalapa tobacco. This one is also going to be Juan Martinez, ASP, Ligero. That's the king of all kings, because typically when you think about ASP tobacco, an ASP Visa is as strong as anybody else's Ligero. So that's going to be all out, that shit's nuclear. Then over here, you got Condega tobaccos, Ometepe tobaccos, which we've covered. And then we have some Kentucky Fire Cured tobacco. You can see the size of those leaves. And you guys are welcome to blend with the Kentucky Fire Cured. The first couple of years we used that Kentucky Cured for blend session, everybody did it. But on our wrapper leaf variety, we're going to do this real quick. At Drew Estate, we got a lot of different wrapper leaves. We have more selections of leaf than any other factory in the world. We import more tobacco into Nicaragua than any other factory. So having that big variety is what allows us to cross into so many zones, right? When you think about the acid-style products, the acid-infusion-style products, coffee-infused cigars, Kentucky Fire Cured, these are all segments that we created. Ambrosia, we work with that with the spices. So it allows us to have a really broad portfolio so that everybody's going to find something. That's why a lot of dudes who start off with Drew Estate, either on an acid or a tobacco special or maybe a Java, they don't leave the Drew Estate profile. So we're always in people's rotations, whether they're going to go all the way super full body like a Liga Privada or medium plus in the Herrera Esteli segment or underground segment, all the way down to super mild like an underground shade. We got something for everybody. So let's talk about some wrappers. Looks like we got some Colombian tobacco. It's empty right now, but I think that you can blend with it. So we got, meaning that I believe we have it in storage if you want to work with it. We have Indonesian tobacco. This is a Bazuki tobacco. So when you think of Indonesia, there's different tobaccos there. Bazuki, Java, variety. We got a Bazuki. We got Ecuadorian Connecticut. Most of the tobacco that you see in the market today, that's Connecticut shade tobacco, is either going to be from Ecuador or from Connecticut, USA. So this one here is in Ecuador, Connecticut, which is actually our preference. That's this one right here, homeboy. Right here, you can see, this is actually, it's so soft, it's like silk. Look at that, it's beautiful. And that color, that's a real rosado, which is nice because then it's not that real, like when you look at it, it looks like wax paper. This is a real brilliant, really reddish color, rosado material, and this stuff is soft, beautiful. All right, we got over here Habano from Ecuador. You guys know that what we use on the Herrera Esteli is a Habano from Ecuador. Pepin is heavy on the Habano from Ecuador. Oliva is heavy on the Habano from Ecuador. Why? Because Habano from Ecuador does so much for the manufacturer, for the farmer, and for the consumer. For the farmers, it gets great yield, so they make money on the tobacco. For the manufacturing facility, we get great yield, we make money on the tobacco. Plus, it's very easy to work with. It's stretchable. It's got all the pliability to it. It's a beautiful leaf. It gives you a lot. Plus, it gives you that nice little spice that you get in that Herrera Esteli. Very Cubanesque. The most Cubanesque tobacco outside of Cuba is going to be, without question, Habano material grown in Ecuador. So that's why people like that. People who are searching and want to be a Cuban tobacco style, which I personally don't give a shit, but those people are going to go to Habano, Ecuador for sure. What I like is the new stuff that we're using for the sun-grown, on the underground sun-grown, and the yet-to-come out Liga Privada sun-grown Adversario for our 10-year. That's also going to be using Ecuador, but that's a Sumatra seed. So when you see a Ashton VSG, that's a Sumatra seed grown in Ecuador. That tobacco is the new tobacco that Drew Estate is really putting a lot of money into, a lot of time into, human resources into. and we're working that tobacco heavily. We don't have that for this tour, but for throughout the year we will have it when it gets back in stock. We got Broadleaf from Connecticut. You guys know that's Liga Privada number 9. We got Connecticut Habano, which you know what that is. That's a T52. We got Arapiraca from Brazil. Then we got Cameroon tobacco, which is always nice from Africa. You guys know the Cameroon tobacco from Africa is a very thin tobacco. It has a texture and a feel very similar to Indonesian tobacco, but it's got that sweetness that people really like. Fuente uses it. I think they've been historically the very best at using that Cameroon tobacco from Africa. You get it in the short story and the classics and all that stuff. Really special tobacco. We use it for the Nirvana blend, which is a really underrated cigar state, but it actually is a damn good stick. We got Matafina from Brazil wrapper. You know what that is, Java and all that good stuff. It's a banger. Mexican Oscuro, that's from the San Andreas region in Mexico. It's heavy leaf, dark leaf, real thick, beautiful. Mexico has had a revival in tobacco thanks to us and Pete Johnson. We both put a lot of time in merchandising and marketing that tobacco, and Drew Estate is probably the strongest tobacco on that Mexican tobacco out there with Pepin and a couple of other guys who really know how to use it. It's tremendous. AJ uses it well. It's a great tobacco. Then we get to Capote, which you guys know is another word for binder. So we got Capotes for the blending sessions here at Cigar Safari. We rock with Honduras, which is cool. Willie likes to mess around with a lot of Honduran tobacco. He likes it in the filler and the binder. Willie Herrera's our master blender. You know the Herrera Estelí, the Norteño. Then we got Habano Connecticut also for binder. So when you talk about Habano Connecticut or Connecticut broadleaf, we can use them as wrappers. We can use them as binders. That's why when I tell you Nica Rustica, Underground, Liga Privada, why? Because we may use a T52 as wrapper for T52, but we still have to use the broken leaves. It's not filler. It's too expensive to use as filler, right? So a leaf that's not beautiful to be on a wrapper of T52, we're going to use that as binder, but a really good binder. So that's going to be probably on a cigar that's a little more expensive. You can't take that really expensive material and use it on a cheap stick. It wouldn't make sense for the factory. We always have to look for efficiencies at the factory to keep our costs down. You can't keep passing more costs to the final consumer, more expensive every year, going with price increases. 2 years in a row, we didn't have a price increase at True Estate. We were probably the only cigar company in the industry that didn't have a price increase. That's some kind of Nick Perdomo shit right there, where you don't have it. That's about finding efficiencies at the factory, and that's something that the guys are very challenged to do that. They do a great job here at True Estate. So everything comes together. It's an algorithm that's all one. Nothing stands by itself in a vacuum. Not T52 wrapper, not Habano wrapper from Ecuador. Everything is part of an ecosystem here, and that's where you find efficiencies. Being able to have that tobacco play different roles across the board. To finish this up, we got Connecticut Ecuador, which you guys know the deal on that. Most of the cigars in the market these days as Connecticut Shade is going to be from Ecuador. It used to be from Connecticut. And then over the years, it's moved to Ecuador because it's better, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, and it's a little bit less expensive. Certainly cheap. You think about $55 a pound for number ones. So you say, wow, that's really expensive. Well, it's actually a lot less expensive than a broadleaf, which might only be $20 or $24, $25 a pound. Why? Because the yield is higher. So every 4 pounds or every 4.5, 5 pounds of Connecticut shade material from Ecuador is going to make you 1,000 sticks. It might take you 15 pounds to use a heavy broadleaf material to make that same 1,000 sticks. So that's efficiencies that, even though it's more expensive per pound, per leaf, which covers each cigar, per stick contribution will be less with a Connecticut shade at $55 than a broadleaf at $20 or $25. Cameroon, we talked about it, Habano from Jalapa, which is cool. That's a Habano seed grown here as a wrapper leaf. I don't know if you guys have tried that yet. Mexico and Indonesia. Indonesia's a great tobacco. It's thin. It gives you a little bit of spice to it. Cuba Cuba and many other cigars made around the world use in Indonesia because you get a great efficiency, you get high return on your investment, and it's a nice clean thing. And there's one beautiful thing about any bright tobaccos. Bright tobacco is going to be in Indonesia, going to be a Connecticut shade, going to be in Ecuador, going to be anything that's bright. Those type of bright tobaccos really burn good. It's called a forgiving tobacco. It'll help your stick combustion all the time. So it's great to use them either as a binder or as a wrapper because they're going to burn great. That's JD signing out. 2018 Cigar Safari. Bless. What? Right there. Get that shit. Oh, man.